Okay, let's be serious, unfortunately. Hey guys, folded legs here. There's gameplay in the background. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. It's just there. So you don't have to stare at my face while my faith in media literacy actively dissolves. Thank you for being here. Truly, because I needed witnesses. All right. So this video exists because an awkward human situation happened and the internet immediately went. Is this content? And one man in particular heard the distant mating call of drama and came sprinting out of the bush. Like, chat. I have thoughts. Yes. Tectone. A man with absolutely zero involvement, zero context, and the confidence of someone who believes every situation is improved by him yelling near it. This wasn't commentary. This was clip farming. This was a man looking at a situation he had no part in and going, perfect. This will feed my channel, which is impressive, honestly. The hustle is unmatched. The empathy, still buffering. And before anyone says, oh, he's just giving his opinion. Cool. So am I. The difference is, I didn't parachute into someone else's discomfort. Like, don't worry, guys. I'll monetize this. That's not insight. That's DoorDash drama. So yeah, this video is gonna talk about what actually happened, why Iron Mouse reacting like a human being apparently shocked people, why some folks handled it like adults, and why others treated it like a limited time engagement event. Some parts are serious, some parts are jokes. Some gloves are on, some gloves are in the trash. TL, a thing happened. Mouse reacted. Adults apologized. And one dude saw numbers and said, say less. Section 1, why I'm saying anything at all. All right, before anyone starts inventing motivations for me, let's get this out of the way. I'm not chasing drama. I'm not farming outrage. And I do not know Iron Mouse personally. She does not know I exist. This is not parasocial. Everyone unclench. That said, she is the reason I wanted to VTuber at all. Not because I didn't know it was possible. I'd already seen VTubers. I'd already seen the tech. Yes, thank you, computers. But knowing something exists and feeling like you are allowed to exist there are two completely different things. Iron Mouse is the one who made my brain go, oh, there's room. Not I want to be her. Not I want her life. Just, there's space for someone like me, and that matters more than people realize. Especially when you're someone like me. I'm in a wheelchair. I've hit my face. I've hit my head. I've fallen out of it in ways that are deeply inconvenient, mildly humiliating, and eventually very funny once the adrenaline wears off. So yeah, I understand adapting. I understand waking up and your body going, good morning. New rules. And you just having to figure it out with vibes, humor, and whatever dignity you have left. That's not a personality quirk. That's survival. So when I say, I feel what she's going through, I don't mean I know her life. I mean, I recognize the shape of it. I recognize what it's like to exist in a way that makes people curious, uncomfortable, or weirdly entitled. And that's why, when I saw what happened, I didn't just scroll past it, like, wow, awkward, and keep moving. This wasn't a, that strange moment. This was a, no, I'm not ignoring this moment. And that's why I'm talking. Oh, section 2, I'm confused. Are we serious right now? Okay, so this is the part where I stopped being sad and started being deeply confused. Because somehow the conversation online turned into people being mad at her reaction. Not the situation, not the boundary crossing, her reaction. And I'm sitting here thinking, wait, hold on, pause the tape. That's what we're upset about. Because apparently there is now a correct, internet-approved way to react when someone makes you uncomfortable. And if you don't follow the script perfectly, congratulations. You failed the vibe check. Certain streamers, certain people online are acting like, well, she could have handled that better. Better how? I would genuinely love to know what the gold standard response is supposed to be here. Is there a flowchart? A training video? A pop-up tutorial that says press X to react calmly while distressed? Because that is not how humans work. And this is where my brain really starts glitching. Iron Mouse is a streamer who does not really leave much. A lot of her interaction with the world is mediated. There are mods. There are buffers. There are layers of protection. That is not a flaw. That is how she survives. So when people act shocked that a real in-person situation hit harder than expected, yeah. No kidding. Streaming is not the same as dealing with people face to face. Online, if something gets weird, a mod handles it. Chat gets cleaned up. You move on. In real life, there is no mod. There's no timeout. There is no hold on, let me mute this. It is just you, standing there, processing in real time. And here's the part where my perspective kicks in. People talk about lockdown like it was the hardest thing they have ever gone through. COVID hit and everyone said, I am trapped inside. And I was like, oh. So Tuesday, my life barely changed. I already order food online. I already do not have much of a social life. Isolation is not a phase for me. It is the environment. So yes, I understand how tolerance shifts. I understand how things that look small to other people hit way harder when you are not used to unfiltered, in-person nonsense. That is why this backlash makes no sense to me. People are judging a reaction from the comfort of their couch, acting like they would have handled it flawlessly. Sure, I am absolutely certain everyone online would have been calm, composed, and emotionally perfect. Absolutely. And this is where my confusion starts turning into something else. Because if this is how we treat someone for reacting honestly, then what are we even doing? Anyway, that is where my brain is at. Section 2.5, how I even got here. Okay, I think this part matters. Because you need to know where my head was before any of this. Before I knew what tubing actually was, I thought it was something very specific, like half-dressed anime girls or AI voices, speedrunning, please subscribe. That was it. That was the stereotype. No research, just vibes, incorrect vibes. Then I started watching random stuff online, and I came across Smug Alana, and I remember thinking, oh, this is just a person being funny. But then I kept going. I watched Fillion. I watched Scutcheon. Who is my wife? Legally? Emotionally? Spiritually? No. But in my heart? Absolutely. She does not know who I am, which makes our marriage very one-sided. But we make it work. And somewhere in there, it clicked. This isn't some weird fake thing. It's just content creation with an avatar, same grind, same effort, same community building, just a different wrapper. And that wrapper comes with baggage because the second you don't show your face, people decide you must be hiding something. You must be fake. You must be manipulating people. You must be doing it for attention, which is wild. Because I use TTS to stay anonymous, and because my voice is respectfully not cooperating with my life plans, that doesn't make what I do less real. It just makes it possible. And then there's Iron Mouse. I knew of her before I really knew about her. And once I actually understood who she was, how she shows up, and what kind of space she holds, yeah. She shattered the stereotype completely. She's not farming sympathy. She's not crying for subs. She's not treating her audience like an ATM with feelings. She builds community. She spreads joy. She shows up consistently. And that's exactly why people project nonsense onto her. Because when you already believe, if tubing isn't real anyway, you stop taking boundaries seriously. You flatten the work. You flatten the person. You flatten the reaction. So when people say, why did she react like that? What they're really saying is, I never respected the space she exists in. And that's the part that actually gets under my skin, because this isn't about one moment. It's about assumptions that were already there, just waiting for an excuse. Okay, that's the context. Now we can keep going. Section 2.75, this is where I stop being polite about it. Okay, this is the part where my confusion officially clocks out and my patience takes its lunch break. Because once you add all that context together, the stigma, the assumptions, the way tubing gets dismissed as not real, the backlash stops being surprising and starts being unacceptable. People aren't reacting to what happened. They're reacting to a version of Mouse they made up in their heads, a version where she's supposed to be infinitely composed, emotionally bulletproof, and grateful for any attention, no matter how uncomfortable, which is a wild expectation to put on a human being. And yeah, I'm saying human on purpose, because an avatar does not cancel out boundaries. It doesn't turn someone into a prop. It doesn't mean they owe you composure on demand. And watching people nitpick her reaction like it was a bad improv choice, that's the part that really loses me, because reactions aren't performances. They're reflexes. You don't workshop them. You don't rehearse them. You don't get a second take when something hits wrong. You just react, and then the internet shows up afterward with a clipboard like, interesting. I would have handled that better. Cool. Congratulations on winning an argument you were never in. What actually matters here is that someone said, clearly, I was uncomfortable. That's not an invitation to debate. That's a stop sign. And instead of stopping, people decided to analyze the font. Too emotional, too awkward, too much, not enough grace. Pick one. You don't get to demand authenticity and then punish it the second it's inconvenient. That's not accountability. That's entitlement. And I think that's what bothers me most. Not the awkward moment, not even the backlash itself. It's how quickly people forgot there was a real person on the other end of that reaction. Not a character, not a stereotype, not a projection. A person. Okay, that's where I land on it. We can keep going from here. Section 3, my actual take, even if it's uncomfortable. Okay, this is the part I didn't really want to make, but pretending I don't have an opinion would be way weirder. So here it is. Do I think Iron Mouse overreacted? Yeah, a little. And I don't say that like it's an insult. I say that like a human being who understands context. This was a big moment, a new environment, a lot of pressure, and not something she deals with regularly. If you're not used to in-person situations like that, your reactions are not going to be polished. They're going to be honest. And honest reactions are rarely elegant. So no, I don't think it was perfect. But I also don't think it was wrong. Those two things can exist at the same time. What actually drives me up the wall is how fast people jumped from, that was awkward, to, wow, she handled that terribly, as if everyone online has a flawless emotional response, locked and loaded, for situations they've never been in. It's very easy to be calm. From your couch, it's very easy to say, well, I would have done this differently, when your heart rate isn't spiking and you're not the one standing there. And I think that's what's missing from a lot of these takes. Empathy, not agreement, not excuses, just the basic ability to go, yeah, that might hit harder if you're not used to that kind of interaction, because most people criticizing her aren't reacting to the moment itself. They're reacting to how they imagine they would have handled it in a fantasy version of the situation where everything goes smoothly and no one feels weird. That's not real life, and it's definitely not fair. You can acknowledge that something wasn't handled perfectly without dogpiling someone who was clearly uncomfortable. That's the part I wish more people understood. Okay, that's my honest read. Section 3.5, context matters, actually. And while we're here, we need to talk about the other people involved. Because mashing everyone into one evil blob and calling it a day is lazy analysis. Specifically, Ray. I genuinely did not think he was trying to be rude at all. It read to me like someone being silly, casual, talking the way some people just talk, which, to be clear, is also how I talk. I say things. Sometimes they land. Sometimes they absolutely do not. That's life. That's the risk you take when words leave your mouth. And yeah, sometimes that kind of joking lands wrong. That doesn't make you a monster. It makes you human, who misread the room. Intent doesn't magically erase impact, but it does matter when we're talking about what happens next. And what happened next is the part people keep skipping, like it's optional reading. He apologized, publicly, directly, no essay, no 12-part Twitter thread, no interpretive dance. And then he said he wanted to keep distance, which, I'm sorry, that's exactly how you handle this. No preaching. No, well, actually, no trying to win the apology Olympics. Just, I hear you. I'm stepping back. That's grown-up behavior. And the take that keeps floating around, that he was somehow forced into it, or bullied into it, or dragged there by her audience. I don't buy that at all. It didn't read fake. It didn't sound scripted. It sounded like someone going, yeah, okay, that didn't land. I'm adjusting, which is good. That's the goal. You can acknowledge that someone made another person uncomfortable and recognize they handled the aftermath well. Those things are not enemies. They can sit at the same table. What actually bugs me is how badly some people want a clean villain arc, because nuance is boring, but dogpiling is content. Not every awkward moment is a conspiracy. Not every apology is a hostage situation. Sometimes people just mess up, own it, and move differently next time. Wild concept. I know. So, no, I'm not here to drag everyone involved. I'm here to say the situation deserved way more empathy and way less internet gymnastics. If you're still here, thank you for hanging out with me. Seriously, this was a longer one, a heavier one. My brain needed to say this out loud or I would start chewing on the drywall kind of one. So if you made it to the end, I see you, and I appreciate you as a person, not as a view. This video was dense. There was a lot going on, a lot of opinions, a lot of nuance, and a lot of me trying very hard not to turn this into a yelling at my monitor situation. That's why some things were softened. Why some stuff got joked around, why I didn't deep dive every single detail. Like this was a true crime podcast with a cork board, because I'd rather keep the vibe watchable than be technically correct and unbearable. And yeah, this isn't the last time I'll talk about this. There's more context, more thoughts, more wait, hold on moments. We'll get there, just not all at once. My brain has limits. Shocking, I know. For the real ones, static. And that's it. I'm still here, still creating, still rolling. Gravity remains undefeated.